You don't need expensive medications to improve your memory or regenerate your brain. I've seen it many times in my practice. People who come in worried because they forget words, lose the names of people close to them, feel mental fog during the day, or notice that they no longer think as quickly as they used to. Many believe it's normal and simply due to age, stress, or fatigue, but that's not always the case. In reality, those small symptoms can be early warning signs of brain inflammation, oxidative stress, or slow deterioration in neural connections. The good news is that you don't always need drugs or costly treatments to begin improving. In my more than 25 years as a neurologist, I've learned that many of the most powerful solutions are much closer than we think. Simple, everyday ingredients that we already have at home can become powerful allies if used correctly. These aren't magical remedies or superstitions. Science has shown that certain foods can reduce brain inflammation, improve oxygen circulation to neurons, and even promote synaptic plasticity, the process that keeps our memory active and flexible. I've seen small changes lead to real transformations. A cup of something warm in the morning, an herbal tea in the afternoon, a handful of nuts at breakfast, tiny gestures that, repeated consistently, become a natural shield for the mind. And the best part? Thousands of people have already experienced it in their daily lives. Less forgetfulness, more mental energy, better focus, and a more stable mood. That's why I want to share with you 9 natural ingredients that, based on my experience and scientific evidence, can make a real difference in your brain health. You don't need to change your entire lifestyle overnight. Just start with one, whichever feels easiest to include in your routine. Sometimes the simplest things are the most effective. Maybe this is your first step toward regaining mental clarity, strengthening memory, and protecting your brain for the long term. Ingredient number 1, warm water with lemon. It hydrates, activates, and protects your neurons. I always repeat this in my consultations. The brain is a thirsty organ. Even mild dehydration can cause concentration problems, frequent forgetfulness, or that mental fog many people feel by late morning. That's why I recommend starting your day with a glass of warm water and lemon. It may seem insignificant, but believe me, its effects on memory and mental clarity are deeper than you imagine. Warm water activates the digestive system and helps eliminate toxins accumulated overnight, while lemon provides vitamin C and antioxidant flavonoids essential for protecting neurons from oxidative damage, one of the main causes of brain aging. Vitamin C also plays a role in the production of neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine, which influence motivation, energy, and working memory. Several studies have found a direct link between higher vitamin C intake and a lower risk of cognitive decline in older adults. Preparation is simple. Squeeze half a lemon into a cup of warm water, not too hot, so as not to destroy its beneficial compounds. I recommend doing this on an empty stomach at least 5 times a week. There's no need to sweeten it, but if you want to vary the flavor, you can add ginger slices or a pinch of turmeric, both known for their anti-inflammatory and neuroprotective properties. It's an easy, affordable habit that's sustainable over time. I've seen many cases where this simple ritual makes a real difference. I remember Maria, a 55-year-old patient who came to me worried about her forgetfulness and constant mental fatigue. I suggested she start with something as simple as a glass of warm water with lemon every morning. Within a few weeks, she told me her digestion had improved, and so had her mental clarity, organization, and memory stability. It was a small change, but enough to open the door to other positive lifestyle improvements. I don't want you to see this as a miracle cure for dementia. What I want you to understand is that consistency in these kinds of habits creates a more favorable environment for keeping the brain young and active. A glass of warm lemon water won't solve all your memory problems, but it can be that first step toward a clearer, more protected, and more resilient brain as the years go by. Ingredient number 2, cinnamon. It balances blood sugar and protects memory. Cinnamon is one of those spices most people associate with desserts or coffee, but it actually plays a much deeper role in brain health. I often recommend it because it contains compounds like cinnamaldehyde, which not only regulate blood sugar, but also reduce brain inflammation. And here's something you might not know. Maintaining stable blood sugar levels is one of the best strategies for preserving memory. When glucose levels spike and crash, neurons experience oxidative stress that damages their connections over time, potentially accelerating cognitive decline. Several studies have shown that cinnamon improves insulin sensitivity, meaning it helps the brain use energy more efficiently. A well-nourished brain with a stable metabolism functions with greater clarity. Clinical studies have also demonstrated that daily cinnamon consumption can improve visual memory and reaction speed, especially in older adults. It's also been shown to reduce the accumulation of harmful proteins in the brain, such as beta amyloid, which is linked to Alzheimer's disease. Incorporating it into your diet is easy, you don't need much. I usually recommend between half and 1 teaspoon a day, preferably in powdered form for better absorption. You can add it to tea, yogurt, oatmeal, smoothies, or even sprinkle it over coffee or tea. What matters most isn't quantity, but consistency. Little by little, this simple habit helps stabilize mental energy throughout the day, reduces fatigue, and provides extra support for memory. I remember the case of Javier, a 60-year-old patient who spent long hours working in front of a computer. He often complained about frequent forgetfulness and constant mental fatigue. I suggested that he start adding cinnamon to his daily breakfast, mixed into his natural yogurt. After a few weeks, his glucose levels improved, and more importantly, he told me that he felt more awake in the mornings, with a clearer mind and better focus to handle his tasks. He didn't radically change his lifestyle, he simply added one small, consistent habit. That's exactly what I want to convey. Cinnamon isn't a magical cure, but it is a quiet ally for protecting your memory and keeping your brain young. Modern neuroscience shows us that small daily habits form the true foundation of prevention, and in this case, just a pinch of cinnamon each day can make a real difference in your mental energy and your ability to remember. Ingredient number 3. Fresh ginger. It boosts brain circulation and reduces inflammation. Ginger is one of my favorite ingredients when it comes to brain health. Many people know it for its digestive benefits, but few realize the incredible impact it has on blood flow to the brain and on reducing inflammation, the very process that accelerates cognitive decline. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols and shogaols that have powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. These compounds help reduce oxidative damage to neurons over time and improve microcirculation in the brain, meaning more oxygen and nutrients reach where they're needed most. One of ginger's most fascinating effects is its ability to dilate blood vessels. By relaxing them, it promotes a more stable flow of blood to the brain. This not only enhances focus and short-term memory, but can also prevent dizziness or mental fatigue caused by poor circulation. Additionally, its thermogenic action activates metabolism and helps eliminate toxins, something especially important for people who struggle with chronic fatigue or that sluggish feeling when trying to think clearly. Scientific evidence supports what I see in my clinical practice. A study published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine found that regular ginger consumption improved working memory and sustained attention in middle-aged women. That's no small thing. Working memory is what we use daily to recall phone numbers, task lists, and simple instructions. Keeping it sharp is key to preventing cognitive decline. Incorporating ginger is simple and versatile. You can prepare an infusion by adding a few thin slices of fresh ginger to a cup of hot water and letting it steep for a few minutes. You can also blend it with lemon and water for a revitalizing drink, or grate it over meals for a spicy, therapeutic touch. I recommend consuming it once or twice a day, especially in the morning or during low-energy moments. I recall Anna, a 63-year-old patient who came to my clinic complaining of brain fog and constant mental fatigue. She began adding ginger to her daily teas, and within a few weeks, she noticed remarkable changes: clearer thinking, more energy to read and concentrate, and fewer memory lapses in her everyday life. She didn't need expensive supplements or complex treatments, just a consistent habit with an ingredient she'd had at home all along. Ginger isn't a miracle cure for dementia, but it's an excellent ally for keeping the brain active, protected, and well-nourished. Over time, this small gesture becomes a quiet investment in maintaining a clear, flexible, and resilient mind through the years. Ingredient number 4, raw garlic. It improves circulation and protects neural connections. Garlic has been studied for decades for its cardiovascular benefits, but what many people don't know is that it also has a direct impact on brain health. In my clinical experience, it's one of the simplest and most powerful allies for keeping the brain well-nourished and protected. Garlic contains a compound called allicin, which is released when it's crushed or chopped raw. This compound not only relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation, but also acts as a potent antioxidant, reducing the inflammation that damages neurons over the years. Why is this so important for the brain? Because cerebral blood flow is the key to memory and concentration. When blood doesn't flow properly, forgetfulness, mental sluggishness, and, over time, a greater risk of cognitive decline appear. Garlic helps improve that blood flow by lowering blood pressure, decreasing LDL cholesterol, and preventing the formation of clots that could block the tiny vessels that nourish the brain. In addition, some studies have shown that certain aged garlic extracts can slow the buildup of beta-amyloid plaques, one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. The best way to enjoy these benefits is simple. Consume 1 raw garlic clove per day, crushed or finely chopped, and let it rest for about 10 minutes before eating. This short resting period allows the alexin to fully activate. You can take it with a bit of warm water mixed with honey to soften the taste, or add it raw to a salad. You don't need large amounts. Just 1 clove a day, taken consistently, is enough to see results over time. I remember Carlos, a 67-year-old patient who came to me worried about his lab results. His cholesterol was high, and he complained that his memory felt increasingly unstable. He decided to try a natural approach and began eating 1 raw garlic clove every morning. Within a week, his cholesterol levels improved, but what surprised him most was his mental clarity. He told me, "Doctor, I feel like the words come to me faster, and I don't go blank in the middle of a conversation anymore." That small, disciplined change transformed not only his physical health, but also his confidence in his memory. Garlic isn't meant to replace medical treatments when they're necessary, but as a daily habit, it's a powerful tool to keep the brain well irrigated, oxygenated, and with a lower risk of deterioration. Many times, true medicine lies in simplicity, and this is one of the best examples of how something ordinary can become a shield for the mind. And remember, while garlic is an incredible ally to protect your neurons, the next ingredient is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful for oxygenating the brain and restoring memory. Ingredient number 5, rosemary. It stimulates memory and enhances mental clarity. Rosemary is a plant many people associate only with cooking, but for centuries, it's also been a symbol of remembrance, and that's no coincidence. Today, science confirms what ancient traditions already suggested. Rosemary contains compounds such as rosmarinic acid and flavonoids that improve brain circulation, reduce inflammation, and stimulate nervous system activity. In my experience, rosemary is one of the most effective natural allies for those who struggle with brain fog, memory lapses, or difficulty concentrating. What I love most about rosemary is its effect on microcirculation. By improving blood flow in the peripheral and small brain vessels, it ensures more oxygen and nutrients reach neurons. This extra oxygen translates into greater mental clarity and a sustained sense of energy. Additionally, rosemary acts as a natural tonic for the nervous system. It doesn't just calm inflammation, it also awakens the brain circuits of memory and focus. Some studies have even shown that the aroma of rosemary essential oil can improve working memory and cognitive performance. The easiest way to include rosemary in your routine is as an infusion. I recommend boiling a cup of water, adding a fresh sprig of rosemary or a teaspoon of dried leaves, covering it, and letting it steep for about 10 minutes before drinking. Its herbal flavor is soothing, and you can add a bit of lemon or honey if you prefer. The best time to drink it is in the morning when your brain needs that extra boost of clarity. You can also use rosemary as a regular seasoning in your meals, making it a natural part of your diet. I remember Lucia, a 58-year-old patient who came to me because every morning she found it incredibly hard to organize her thoughts. She woke up with numb hands and a sluggish mind, as if it took hours to turn on. I recommended adding a cup of rosemary tea to her breakfast. After a few weeks, she told me she felt more warmth in her hands and feet, and more importantly, her mind was sharper from the moment she woke up. "Doctor, I start my day with different energy now. I focus faster and ideas flow more easily," she said with a smile during her checkup. I don't want you to think rosemary is a cure for dementia, but it can become a simple and very helpful habit for anyone who wants to improve memory and mental clarity in daily life. It's another example of how nature gives us tools that, when used wisely, help keep the brain alert and active. Ingredient number 6, green tea. It reduces brain inflammation and protects neurons. Green tea is much more than a light beverage. I often recommend it to my patients because it contains catechins, especially epigallocatechin galati, EGCG, a powerful antioxidant proven to have direct effects on brain health. These compounds protect the endothelium, the lining of blood vessels, improving their elasticity and supporting a constant flow of blood to the brain. This proper circulation keeps neurons nourished and functioning clearly. But green tea doesn't just boost circulation. Its antioxidants also act directly on brain cells, reducing inflammation and protecting neural connections from oxidative stress. Several studies have shown that people who regularly drink green tea perform better on memory and attention tests and have a lower risk of cognitive decline as they age. Some fascinating brain imaging studies have even found that green tea enhances connectivity between regions involved in learning and memory. Preparation is simple. Heat water without boiling it, add 1 tea bag or a teaspoon of green tea leaves, and let it steep for a few minutes before drinking. I recommend 1 or 2 cups per day, preferably unsweetened. If you have a sensitive stomach, avoid drinking it on an empty stomach. You can add a few drops of lemon to enhance its antioxidant benefits and give it a fresher flavor. I remember Thomas, a 62-year-old patient who had been warned about his high cholesterol and also complained about poor concentration at work. I suggested replacing his afternoon coffee with a cup of green tea. 3 months later, not only had his cholesterol improved, but he also told me he felt more stable energy and a clearer mind when reading and retaining information. That small switch became a daily habit he continues to this day. Green tea isn't a magic solution, but it's a steady ally for anyone who wants to keep their brain young and protected. It's a perfect example of how something as simple as a cup of tea can become a daily tool to support long-term memory and concentration. Ingredient number 7. Raw beetroot with lemon. It boosts brain oxygenation and mental energy. When your brain doesn't receive enough oxygen, you feel it immediately. Constant fatigue, difficulty concentrating, memory lapses, or that feeling that everything takes more effort than usual. These are signs your brain might not be getting enough oxygen. In such cases, one of the best natural allies I recommend is raw beetroot. Its deep color is already a reflection of its power. It's loaded with natural nitrates that the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule essential for dilating blood vessels and improving blood flow to the brain. And when the brain receives more oxygen and nutrients, mental clarity and memory improve noticeably. Beetroot is also rich in iron, folic acid, and antioxidants such as betalain, which help reduce inflammation and maintain a more favorable environment for neurons. When combined with lemon, the effect becomes even stronger. Lemon not only provides vitamin C, but also enhances the absorption of iron in beetroot and contributes to keeping blood vessels flexible. This simple, affordable, and natural combination can become a true brain tonic. There are even fascinating studies about it. One published in the British Journal of Nutrition showed that daily consumption of beetroot juice improves cerebral blood flow and increases activity in brain regions related to memory and learning in older adults. This means it not only boosts physical energy, but also directly enhances mental performance. Preparation is very simple. Just peel a raw beetroot, cut it into pieces, and blend it with the juice of half a lemon and half a glass of water. If you prefer a smoother texture, you can strain it, although I usually recommend keeping the fiber for extra digestive benefits. Ideally, drink it on an empty stomach between 3 and 5 times a week. It's an easy habit that, with consistency, can make a real difference in your mental vitality. I remember Elena, a 64-year-old patient who came to me exhausted and worried that her memory was getting worse each month. I suggested she add this beetroot and lemon juice to her morning routine. Within weeks, she began noticing changes, more mental clarity, less fatigue, and an energy she hadn't felt in years. After several months, even her blood pressure stabilized, and she told me she had regained a vitality she thought she had lost. Raw beetroot with lemon isn't a cure, but it's a powerful tool to oxygenate the brain and give it the natural boost it needs to function at its best. Sometimes a single glass can be the difference between a sluggish day and one full of mental energy. Ingredient number 8. Turmeric reduces brain inflammation and protects memory. Turmeric is one of the most studied spices in recent years for its impact on health, and the brain is no exception. Its main compound, curcumin, has such a strong anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effect that many researchers compare it to certain drugs, but without the side effects. In my clinical experience, Turmeric is especially useful for people who suffer from brain fog, forgetfulness, or cognitive fatigue. What fascinates me most about turmeric is its ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, something very few natural compounds can do. This means curcumin acts directly on brain tissue, reducing the inflammatory processes that damage neurons and promoting the creation of new synaptic connections. Studies show that regular turmeric consumption can improve working memory and attention in older adults, and even reduce the buildup of beta-amyloid plaques, one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. The easiest way to include it is through diet. You can add a teaspoon of turmeric powder to soups, stews, or smoothies. However, there's one important detail. For your body to absorb curcumin properly, you must combine it with a pinch of black pepper and a healthy fat source, such as olive oil or avocado. This increases its bioavailability up to 20 times. Personally, I recommend consuming it this way several times a week, consistently, to see real results. I remembered Teresa, a 61-year-old patient who came to me worried because she kept forgetting appointments, felt mentally scattered, and was exhausted by the end of the day. I suggested she add turmeric to her daily meals, in soups and in a morning smoothie. Within weeks, she noticed more mental clarity and a steadier memory. Over time, she told me she felt more confident because those memory lapses that used to distress her had almost disappeared. Turmeric is not a miracle cure, but it's a powerful tool to keep the brain young and protected from decline. It's a clear example of how nature provides us with compounds that can have a real impact on cognitive health, as long as we use them consistently. And if this ingredient already seems amazing, wait until you learn about the last one, the most important of all, because it revitalizes the brain with unique strength, and its effects can be felt in just a few days. Ingredient number 9. Blueberries, the ultimate shield for memory and brain regeneration. Of all the foods I recommend to protect and regenerate the brain, blueberries are without a doubt the most powerful. This small, deep-colored fruit is known in scientific research as a true natural neuroprotector. Its secret lies in its flavonoids, particularly anthocyanins, compounds that not only reduce inflammation and oxidative stress, but also directly enhance communication between neurons and stimulate neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. I've seen patients underestimate this fruit because of its size, but the results are undeniable. Regular blueberry consumption is linked to significant improvements in memory, attention, and processing speed. Studies published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry show that older adults with mild cognitive impairment improved their memory test results after drinking blueberry juice for several weeks. This isn't a coincidence. Blueberry antioxidants travel directly to the hippocampus, the brain area essential for forming memories. How do I recommend including them? The simplest way is to add a handful of fresh blueberries to your breakfast. Mix them with natural yogurt, oats, or a smoothie. You can also use frozen ones if fresh are unavailable, as they retain most of their properties. I suggest eating them at least 3 times per week, though the more consistent you are, the better the results. The key is to make them a routine, not just an occasional treat. I remember Rosa, a 68-year-old patient who came to me deeply afraid. Her mother had suffered from Alzheimer's, and she was beginning to notice frequent forgetfulness. She decided to start with something simple, adding blueberries to her breakfast 3 times a week. After a few months, she told me she felt more alert, found it easier to learn new things, and her daily forgetfulness had decreased. Although genetic risk cannot be erased, blueberries gave her confidence that she was doing something real to protect her brain. Understand this: blueberries are not a miracle or a guaranteed shield against dementia, but they are one of the best natural ways to give your brain protection and a regenerative boost at the same time. Together with the other ingredients we've discussed, they form a set of simple, everyday habits that can truly change the course of your mental health. And the most important thing, you don't have to do everything at once. Start with one. It could be a glass of warm water with lemon, a pinch of turmeric in your meal, or a handful of blueberries in your breakfast. What truly matters is consistency, because in the end, regenerating the brain doesn't come from one big act, but from those small daily choices that, over time, make the difference between a fading mind and one that stays alive, agile and clear. Taking care of your brain isn't complicated. It only requires consistency in small daily gestures. If this video has been helpful to you, share it with someone who needs it. And if you want to keep learning how to maintain a young mind and strong memory, I invite you to watch the other videos on this channel, where you'll find more practical advice that can make a real difference in your day-to-day life.